Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from jennycarddesigns. Thanks so much for joining me today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. Okay, for today's video, I'm going to create a note card set, and I'm going to use this watercoloring scene blending stencil. So this is from Picket Fence Studios, and I've got a few Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock panels. These are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to make some backgrounds with them. So let's start with that. I'm going to pull in a silicone mat here. This is just, this is actually a baking mat. And what I like about it is that I can ink blend on here and not get anything on my work surface. And it cleans up nice and easy. Also, that when I put my cardstock down, it doesn't slide around. So that's kind of neat. So I'm going to be working with those things today. And I've also got some ink blending brushes here in my ink blending station. I've got my brushes, my ink pad holders, and I'm going to use some dye ink and blend some backgrounds here. So let's get started with that. First thing I'm going to do is pick my stencil, and I'm not going to use the negative pieces. I'm just going to use this one here, and so I'm just going to pop this onto my cardstock. I'm going to grab some paper for masking. I'm going to use some Post-it notes, and I'm going to cover up the parts of the cardstock that I don't want to get sort of ink blended on. Okay, there we go. My background is now covered, and I'm going to do some ink blending. So I'm going to grab an ink pad holder. I want to use some jennycarddesigns Tranquil Teal. So I'm going to get a new brush. I haven't used this one yet. So I'm going to ink up this brush nice and good. This will now be my teal colored blending brush for future use. And I'm going to fill this brush with all of that beautiful turquoise ink. This is Tranquil Teal. Yes, Tranquil Teal ink. I don't know what I called it. It's Tranquil Teal by jennycarddesigns. Okay, so I'm going to start sort of off the paper and gently blend in. Oh, look at that beautiful color. I'm here for that all day. I'm going to start off the side of the stencil because I don't want any harsh marks. I want this to be a nice smooth blend and to really give that watercolor look. So I'm going to ink blend this entire panel. All right. Now I'm going to lift up and I'm going to take a peek at what we got. Oh, look at that. That looks so cool. Oh man, I really love that look. Start off the cardstock so that you get a smoother blend. But also, jennycarddesigns dye inks have a smoothing agent built into them. So if they're a little splotchy at first, they do dry back to a beautiful, smooth, airbrushed finish. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up this Tranquil Teal. This is going to be a beautiful thank you note card set. And I'm just going to store these in my office drawer at work. When an occasion arises, I'll be ready to, you know, send out my thank yous. Oh, that's just so beautiful. I love that. This will never get old. Okay, so we have all of our panels done. I have some ink smudges all around everywhere, ink on my hands. I made quite a mess, but I had a lot of fun. These backgrounds are great. I am going to chop these into a more manageable piece and hopefully be able to crop off some of those ink smudges and then see how we can fix whatever's left. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and start cutting these down a little bit. I'm actually going to wash my hands first, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my Tim Holtz and Tonic Studios trimmer, and I'm going to start trimming down these backgrounds. So what I should do, this one doesn't look like I've got any smudges. So what I'll do is I'll start cutting up the panels that have the worst smudges on them. Then this can determine sort of how the rest of my panels, what size they're going to get cut down to. So let's see here. I'll cut off that whole bit there. 3 3/4 by 5 is what we're going for here. Okay, so that's the size of our panel. Let's do that to all of the panels. So we've now got all of these panels cut down to the size that I want them. And I don't have too much ink smudges that I'm going to worry a whole lot about. I think I'm going to be just fine with these results. I have this set from jennycarddesigns that I wanted to use. This is the Butterfly Builders set. And it has a coordinating stencil along with coordinating dies. And I like the thanks greeting in here, and I thought that would look really nice in sort of this, in this little watercolor background. And I thought maybe we could have a little butterfly sort of off to the side. I don't know. I had a team building exercise at work, and something that really struck with me, it resonated, and I probably will never forget it for the rest of my life. Overthinking creates paralysis. So this is sort of when you kind of overthink things and then you kind of freeze, and then it makes it harder to make a decision. I think this is my life. I do this quite often. So I am going to not overthink this. Because here I am thinking, well, what's the point of having a butterfly in a watercolor puddle? But this isn't a puddle, so it's just a color. It's just a wash of color. And we're going to put the butterfly in there anyways, because I said so. So that's what's happening right now. This butterfly is going in the middle of my little wash. I think I'll turn them on an angle. Oh yeah, I like that. All right, so I think also what I would like to do is stamp this with white pigment ink. What do you think about that? Let's see what that looks like. So I have a nice juicy white pigment ink pad. That looks nice. I know that this will for sure dry back into the cardstock, so it won't be as bright white. So whenever you're using pigment ink, you always kind of want to give that ink a second to sort of transfer from the stamp onto the paper. It's a bit of a thicker consistency of ink, and it needs a minute to kind of absorb into the paper. Well, that looks cute. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I like that. And I'll do that to all of my panels. So what will happen with this pigment ink is that as it dries into the cardstock, it's going to sort of absorb some of that teal ink, and it's not going to be bright white. It's going to stand off of that background, but it's not going to be white. If you wanted it to stay white, you could always heat emboss this with some white embossing powder. And initially that's what I was going to do. I was going to stamp my greeting inside of that watercolor wash, but I kind of changed my course, which is something that I do often. A lot of the times my projects aren't planned. I sort of grab some products, I sit down, and then I just go to town. I don't ever so much plan out what I'm going to make. I have no idea what it's going to look like. I don't make samples ahead of time. I find that I'm better at creating on the fly than I am planning. So you'll probably notice if you watch my YouTube channel at all that my videos are always sporadic. They're never, you know, on time or on a schedule, because if I try to put myself on a schedule, I always sort of, you know, I always fail. So if I just allow myself the freedom to choose when I want to craft and what I want to make, then I find that I'm more productive and more creative. So anyways, all right, so I've gone ahead and stamped all of those panels. Now I'm going to take that thanks greeting. Yeah, I like that. I'm just going to stamp thanks, just like that. And I think that I'll stamp it with that Tranquil Teal ink. I think it'll look nice and it'll tie everything together. So I just kind of want to get that centered as best as I can. And it's on a curve, so I mean it's not gonna be straight, but it's good enough. I'm happy with that. So I've got that Gina K Tranquil Teal ink again, and I'm gonna ink up my sentiment nice and good. And I'll probably have to stamp a couple of times, as this is a new stamp. It's never been stamped before, so it needs some tender love and care before it will stamp its best. So we'll get a few sort of takes in there, give it a chance to be nice and crisp. There we go, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, set that aside and move on to the next guy and do the same thing. So yeah, this is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. So I want to make sure that my card base white matches the white on my stamped panels. Otherwise it would just kind of look off. Unless I was using a different color, then it wouldn't matter, but if I was using a matte layer, I think you get what I mean. Okay, next step for me here is to adhere these panels down to my card base. I think I'm going to use liquid glue today. I'm just going to go over my panel and center this up and center this on the front of my card. Perfect. All right. And then I'm just going to set this off to the side. Okay, so I have gone ahead and grabbed some envelopes. Now, here's my dilemma. I feel like this envelope is too white. This envelope is too cream, but I think it suits it better than the white. I wanted some Tranquil Teal envelopes, and I thought I had some. Let me take a look in one more place. I do. I have some Gina K Designs Tranquil Teal envelopes. And I think what I'll do is, I'll get rid of these white ones. I'm not a fan of that. I think what I'll do is I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, these are just too yellow. I love them. They're beautiful, but I think they're just too cream for the white cardstock. Okay, so now I've got this beautiful card coordinating envelope. It also has the peel to stick adhesive. This is so pretty, and Gina K Designs cardstock and envelopes and inks match perfectly. So this just, look how pretty that is. So now we have a note card set that coordinates with the envelope. Look at this. So if you wanted to, you could create a box to put all of these in and give these away as a gift for somebody. You could also put them in a little baggie. Let me just grab something here. I have a template book, and it's called A Book About Boxes and Bags. I have several books that are kind of similar to this that share different types of projects. This one is specifically about bags and boxes. So I have a bunch of templates inside of my book. And here we go. Here is an A2 size card box where you could create a little box to put all of these in and give them away as a gift. I'm not going to worry about that today, only simply because I'm going to keep these in my office. So in order to keep them nice and neat, I'm going to take the little package that the envelopes came in. This should fit everything. For all intents and purposes, it should fit nicely. I have not tried this before, so let's see what happens. Oh, it's actually perfect. Look at that. Here I have a beautiful, what looks to be a store-bought, handmade thanks note card set. What a lovely presentation. This is great for a gift or just to keep in your stash like I'm going to use myself.
Okay, that's going to be it for today's video. Here's a close-up look at our finished card project. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support as always. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would love for you to do so. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think that you may enjoy, including an entire playlist to my Chop It Up series, which shares tons and tons of different ways to chop up your cardstock and use it for card making and crafting. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!